The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Picture this: a high school kid named Monty Roberts sits at his desk, pouring his heart into a 7-page paper. The assignment? Write about what you want to be when you grow up. But Monty wasn't dreaming small. This wasn't about becoming a doctor or lawyer. No, Monty was the son of a horse trainer who lived out of the back of a pickup truck, and he dreamed of owning a 200-acre ranch where he'd raise thoroughbred racehorses. He even drew detailed floor plans: the house, the stables, the racetrack, everything. The next day, his teacher handed back the paper with a giant red F scrawled across the top. Confused, Monty approached his teacher after class. "Why did I get an F?" The teacher looked at him matter-of-factly. "This dream is unrealistic for a boy like you. You have no money. Your family moves around constantly. You have no resources. Owning a 200-acre ranch requires serious capital: land, breeding stock, staff. There's just no way you could ever do it." Then came the kicker: "If you rewrite this paper with a more realistic goal, I'll reconsider your grade." Monty went home, heavy with doubt. He asked his father what to do. His dad simply said, "Look, son, this is an important decision. You have to make up your own mind on this one." After a week of soul-searching, Monty turned in the exact same paper. Not a single word changed. He looked his teacher in the eye and said, "You can keep the F. I'm keeping my dream." Fast forward years later. That same teacher brought 30 students to camp out for a week on a sprawling 200-acre ranch. As he was leaving, he approached the owner, the man who now trained horses for the Queen of England, and admitted, "Monty, I can tell you this now. When I was your teacher, I was something of a dream stealer. I stole a lot of kids' dreams. I'm glad you had enough gumption not to give up on yours." That story captures the essence of what we're exploring today: The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. This isn't just a book. It's a roadmap that's guided millions of people from where they are to where they truly want to be. You might know Jack Canfield as the co-creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, which has sold over 80 million copies worldwide. But his life's work goes deeper. He spent decades studying and teaching the timeless principles of success. He wasn't born wealthy. His father was a florist, making $8,000 a year. Jack survived graduate school on 21-cent dinners of spaghetti and tomato paste. But by applying the very principles he teaches in this book, he built an empire. He holds a Guinness World Record, earns a multi-million-dollar income every year, and lives a life beyond his wildest dreams. Today I'm going to walk you through the most powerful ideas from his masterwork. By the end, you'll understand that success isn't an accident or a matter of luck. It's a science, like a combination lock, where your job is to find the right numbers in the right order. And this book gives you that combination. Let's dive in. Life hands every single one of us a starting point. For some, it's a mansion on a hill. For others, like Jack Canfield, it's a small town in West Virginia with a workaholic father and an alcoholic mother. But here's the great secret, the one that changes everything. Your starting point doesn't have to be your ending point. The entire philosophy of this book, all 64 principles, rests on one powerful, sometimes difficult idea. If you grasp this one thing, your life will begin to change tomorrow. It's Principle 1. Take 100% responsibility for your life. Sounds simple, right? Of course I'm responsible for my life. But are we, really? Most of us are conditioned to do the exact opposite. We blame our parents for our insecurities. We blame our boss for our lack of promotion. We blame the economy for our empty bank account. We blame the weather, our friends, the government, anything and anyone but ourselves. Jack tells a wonderful story about a man on his hands and knees under a street lamp. Another man walks by and asks, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for my lost key," he replies. The passerby offers to help, and for an hour they both search. Finally, the helpful stranger asks, "Are you sure you lost it here?" The man shakes his head. "Oh no, I lost it in my house. But the light is much better out here." We all do this. We look for answers to our problems outside of ourselves because it's easier, less painful, then looking in the mirror and admitting the truth. The truth is, there's only one person responsible for the quality of the life you live. That person is you. Every outcome you experience, your health, your wealth, your happiness, your relationships, is the result of how you've responded to earlier events. The author gives us a simple but profound formula. E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. Think about that. An event happens. You can't control it. Maybe there's an earthquake, like the one in Los Angeles in 1994 that damaged the freeways. The event is the traffic jam. For one driver, the response is anger and frustration. I hate California. I'm going to be late. His outcome? A miserable, stressful morning. For the driver in the car behind him, the response is different. He's smiling, saying, "It's no problem. I left early. I've got my Spanish language tapes, a thermos of coffee, and a good book. I'm fine." Same event, different response, completely different outcome. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. If you don't like the outcomes you're currently getting, you have two choices: blame the event, the economy, your boss, your spouse, or change your response. Change your thinking, your communication, your actions. That's all you really have control over. Taking 100% responsibility means giving up all your excuses, all your victim stories, all your complaining, because all blame is a waste of time. People only complain about things they can do something about. Have you ever heard anyone complain about gravity? No, because there's nothing we can do about it. So we accept it. We even use it to our advantage in sports like skiing and basketball. The circumstances you complain about are things you can change, but you've chosen not to, usually because it involves risk. It might be uncomfortable. So to avoid that discomfort, you stay put and complain. The day you change your responses is the day your life will begin to get better. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always got. This is the first, most critical step on the path to success. You must own it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It was you who took the actions, thought the thoughts, and made the choices that got you to where you are now. And once you accept that you created your life as it is, you realize you have the power to uncreate it and recreate it exactly as you want it. That is true freedom. Once you've accepted that you're the captain of your own ship, the next question is, where are you steering it? This brings us to the second pillar of success, having absolute clarity about your destination. Most people drift through life without a clear destination. They haven't decided what they want. The author compares life to a combination lock. Your job is to find the right numbers in the right order so you can have anything you want. But if you don't know what you want, you can't even begin to look for the combination. The book lays out a three-part process for gaining this clarity. It starts with your purpose, moves to your vision, and then crystallizes into your goals. First, you must be clear on why you're here. Jack Canfield believes that every single one of us is born with a unique life purpose. When you're on purpose, you're doing what you love, you're good at it, and it feels important to you. When you're on purpose, the people, resources, and opportunities you need just seem to gravitate toward you. So how do you find this purpose? The book offers a simple clue. Follow your joy. Your inner guidance system tells you when you're on or off purpose by the amount of joy you're experiencing. Make a list of the times you felt most joyful and alive. What were you doing? Who were you with? What are the common threads? Julie Lepley was a student at Ohio State University, studying to be a veterinarian because everyone told her she should. She loved animals, so it made sense. But one day, sitting at her desk surrounded by biology books, she realized she was totally miserable. She asked herself, "What is a job I would love so much I'd do it for free?" The answer wasn't being a vet. It was the youth leadership conferences she'd volunteered at. She changed her entire path, created her own major in leadership studies, and went on to become a leadership consultant for the Pentagon at only 26 years old. That's the power of clarity. Once you have a sense of your purpose, The next step is to create a detailed vision of your ideal life. A vision is a clear, compelling picture of what success looks like to you in every area. Your work, your finances, your health, your relationships, your personal growth, and your contribution to the world. This is like programming your inner GPS. Your mind is a goal-seeking organism. If you give it a clear destination, it will work day and night to figure out how to get you there. You don't need to know the how right now. Just get crystal clear on the what. If you get clear on the what, the how will be taken care of. Don't limit your vision. Dream big dreams. As General Wesley Clark once said, it doesn't take any more energy to create a big dream than it does to create a little one. John F. Kennedy dreamed of putting a man on the moon. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of a nation free from injustice. Bill Gates dreamed of a computer in every home. They didn't settle for what seemed reasonable. They aimed for the extraordinary. When you have that grand vision, you must then translate it into specific, measurable goals. This is Principle 7, Unleash the Power of Goal Setting. A goal is not a good idea. It's not a wish. I'd like to own a nice home is a good idea. I will own a 4,000 square foot house in Malibu, California by noon on April 30th, 2027 is a goal. It has two key ingredients: how much and by when. Vague goals produce vague results. The more specific you are, the more power you give your subconscious mind to work on achieving it. The author suggests you write your goals down. Create a goals book with pictures and descriptions of what you want to achieve. Carry your most important goal on a card in your wallet. Jim Carrey famously wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it Thanksgiving 1995, and carried it in his wallet. By 1995, his asking price was $20 million per picture. Review your goals every single day. Read them out loud. Close your eyes and picture them as if they were already accomplished. Feel the emotions of having already achieved them. This daily discipline activates what psychologists call structural tension. Your brain wants to close the gap between your current reality and the exciting vision of your goal. It will stimulate your creativity and heighten your awareness of the resources you need. So now you've taken 100% responsibility. You have a clear purpose, a grand vision, and specific, measurable goals. You're miles ahead of most people. But there's still a huge piece of the puzzle missing. It's the inner game. It's what you believe. Napoleon Hill famously said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." This isn't just a nice motivational quote. It's a scientific fact about how your brain works. Scientists are learning that we don't just respond to what happens to us. We respond to what our brain expects to happen. Doctors studying knee surgery found that patients who had a pretend surgery, where the doctor just made incisions but did nothing else, reported the same amount of pain relief as those who had the actual surgery. Their brains expected the surgery to work, and so it did. This is why it's so critical to believe that what you want is possible. This is Principle 4. When Tug McGraw, the famous Philadelphia Phillies pitcher, was on the mound in the 1980 World Series, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded, it was a moment of immense pressure. But for him, it was just another day in the backyard. As a kid, he'd practiced that exact scenario with his father 1,000 times. He'd conditioned his brain to expect success. He coined the phrase that became the rally cry for the 1973 Mets, "You gotta believe." But what if you don't believe in yourself? What if your childhood was filled with messages of, "You can't," or "You're not smart enough"? This brings us to Principle 5, believe in yourself. Believing in yourself is a choice. It's an attitude you develop over time. Most of the super successful people Jack Canfield interviewed said, "I was not the most gifted or talented person in my field, but I chose to believe anything was possible." Look at Stephen J. Cannell. He failed 1st grade, 4th grade, and 10th grade. He struggled to read. He concluded he just wasn't intelligent. But he made a decision. He chose to focus on what he was good at, football. From football, he learned that if he applied himself, he could achieve excellence. He transferred that belief to his career, and this man who couldn't read well became one of the most prolific writers in television history, creating shows like The A-Team and The Rockford Files. To believe in yourself, you have to give up the phrase, "I can't." Those two words literally disempower you. They make your muscles weaker. Your brain is designed to solve any problem you give it. When you say, "I can't," you shut it down. What if you could flip this entire mindset on its head? What if, instead of being paranoid that the world is out to get you, you became what the author calls an inverse paranoid? An inverse paranoid is someone who believes the world is plotting to do them good. They see every challenge, every setback, not as a negative, but as an opportunity in disguise. Your car breaks down? Maybe the person who stops to help is the love of your life. Your company downsizes you? Maybe this is the push you need to find your dream job. Every negative event contains within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. When you start looking for the good in every situation, you'll find it. You'll approach every conversation, every interaction, with the belief that something good will come of it. And because you get what you focus on, you will. This inner game of belief is like releasing the emergency brake on your car. Most people go through life with their psychological emergency brake on. They hold on to limiting beliefs and negative self-images. They try to succeed by pushing harder on the gas, by using willpower, but it's exhausting and it doesn't work. Successful people have learned it's much easier to simply release the brake. One of the biggest brakes we have is our comfort zone. It's a self-created prison made up of all the can'ts and shouldn'ts we've accumulated in our lives. The author tells the story of how baby elephants are trained. A trainer ties the elephant's leg with a rope to a small post. The baby elephant learns it can't break the rope. When that elephant grows into a 5-ton giant that could easily snap the rope, it doesn't even try. It's been conditioned to believe it's trapped. How many of us are like that elephant, held back by a tiny rope of limiting beliefs from our past? There are 3 ways to break out of this prison. You can use affirmations, positive statements that describe your goals as already complete. You can use visualization, creating powerful, compelling pictures in your mind of the life you want. And you can simply change your behavior. Act as if you're already the person you want to be. Affirmations are powerful commands to your subconscious mind. They should start with, "I am," be in the present tense, and be stated in the positive. "I am no longer afraid of flying" still evokes an image of fear. "I am enjoying the thrill of flying" evokes an image of enjoyment. Jack Canfield used this to go from making $25,000 a year to over $92,000 in less than a year. He taped a giant replica of a $100,000 bill to his ceiling and affirmed every day that he was earning that amount. His mind started generating ideas to make it a reality. Visualization is even more powerful. Your brain sees no difference between vividly imagining something and actually doing it. Legendary golfer Jack Nicklaus said, "I never hit a shot, not even in practice, without having a very sharp, in-focus picture of it in my head." When you visualize your goals as already complete, you program your brain to notice everything in your environment that can help you achieve them. You activate your subconscious to create solutions, and you create new levels of motivation. Add emotion to your visualizations. Feel the pride of ownership of your dream house. Hear the roar of the crowd as you cross the finish line. The more passion and excitement you can generate, the more powerful the result. Finally, there's Principle 12, act as if. This is one of the great secrets. Think, talk, dress, and act like the person who has already achieved your goal. When you do this, you send powerful commands to your subconscious mind to find ways to make it a reality. You start to attract the people and circumstances that will help you succeed. The author tells the story of a young bank teller who always wore a suit and tie, just like the branch manager. A few years later, he was the branch manager. He acted as if he already had the job he wanted. Now all of this, the responsibility, the clarity, the belief, is the setup. It's the foundation. But nothing, absolutely nothing, happens until you do one thing: take action. This is Principle 13. The world doesn't pay you for what you know, it pays you for what you do. The universe rewards action. In his seminars, Jack Canfield holds up a $100 bill and asks, "Who wants this?" People shout, they wave their hands. But he just stands there until someone gets it. Eventually, one person will jump up, walk to the front of the room, and take the money from his hand. That person took action. He then asks the audience, "How many of you thought about getting up but stopped yourselves?" The answers are always the same. "I didn't want to look greedy. I was afraid people would laugh at me. I was waiting for more instructions." And he points out that the very things that stopped them in that room are the same things that stop them in life. Successful people have a bias for action. They have a low tolerance for excessive planning. They're antsy to get going. Too many people spend their whole life aiming and never firing. The quickest way to hit a target is to fire, see where the bullet landed, and then adjust your aim. This is the ready, fire, aim approach. Just get started. You'll learn by doing. You'll get feedback. Don't be afraid to fail. Successful people understand that failure is just part of the learning process. They call it failing forward. You can never learn less. You can only learn more. As the great inventor Buckminster Fuller said, "The reason I know so much is because I have made so many mistakes." Sometimes, the action you need to take feels too big, too overwhelming. So Principle 14 advises you to just lean into it. You don't have to see the whole staircase. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, just take the first step. You start, you see what it feels like, and you see if you want to keep going. Leaning into it creates momentum. The path appears as you start walking. And as you're taking these actions, you need a system to stay consistent. This is where Principle 23, the Rule of 5, comes in. Jack Canfield learned this from a wise teacher who told him, "If you would go every day to a very large tree and take 5 swings at it with a very sharp axe, eventually, no matter how large the tree, it would have to come down." This means every single day you do 5 specific things that will move you toward your goal. When trying to make Chicken Soup for the Soul a bestseller, Jack and his partner did 5 things every day. 5 radio interviews, sent 5 review copies to editors, called 5 companies to buy the book in bulk. Day in and day out, for over 2 years. The book didn't hit a bestseller list for over a year, but that sustained effort of the Rule of 5 eventually led to a publishing phenomenon. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. Of course, as you take action, you will inevitably face obstacles. You will face rejection. This is where you need to practice persistence. Most people give up just when they're about to achieve success. They quit on the 1-yard line. Persistence is probably the single most common quality of high achievers. They simply refuse to give up. Terry Fox, the young man who lost his leg to cancer, decided to run across Canada to raise money for cancer research. He ran close to a marathon every single day on an artificial leg. When asked how he kept going, he said, "I just keep running to the next telephone pole." That's how you persist. You break it down into small, manageable chunks and you just keep going. You will also face a lot of no's. This brings us to Principle 18, rejection. You have to realize that rejection is a myth. It doesn't really exist. If you ask someone for a date, and they say no, you didn't have a date before, and you don't have one after, your situation didn't get worse. It stayed the same. It only feels bad if you tell yourself a story about what it means. The author gives us a powerful mantra for dealing with rejection. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. It's just a numbers game. You have to keep asking until you get a yes. Colonel Sanders received over 300 rejections for his fried chicken recipe before he found someone to believe in him. The first Chicken Soup for the Soul book was rejected by over 130 publishers. They just kept saying, "Next!" As you navigate this world of action and rejection, You need feedback. Principle 19 is use feedback to your advantage. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. There's no such thing as negative feedback. There are only improvement opportunities. Life is a constant process of being on course, off course, on course, off course. You take a step, you get feedback, you adjust. You're off course more than on course, but you still get there by constantly adjusting. The author teaches a powerful technique for getting feedback. At the end of any interaction, a meeting, a presentation, even a conversation with your spouse, ask 2 questions. First, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate that? If the answer is anything less than a 10, you ask the second question, what would it take to make it a 10? This gives you the specific information you need to improve. Now, as you start achieving success, you need an infrastructure to support you. You can't do it all alone. This leads us to the section on building your success team. Principle 39 is to stay focused on your core genius. Everyone has something they love to do and are brilliant at. It's effortless and fun. That's your core genius. Successful people focus at least 80% of their time on this and delegate everything else. If you don't have an assistant, you are one. You need to build a powerful support team. This includes staff, consultants, and personal advisors, a banker, a lawyer, an accountant, a doctor. You should also hire a personal coach. You would never expect an Olympian to compete without a coach. Why should you try to achieve your biggest goals without one? A coach will help you clarify your vision, support you through your fears, and hold you accountable. One of the most powerful team structures you can create is a mastermind group. Napoleon Hill wrote about this in Think and Grow Rich. It's a group of 5 or 6 people who meet regularly to brainstorm, problem solve, and motivate each other. Andrew Carnegie and Henry Ford both had mastermind groups. When you bring 2 or more minds together in a spirit of harmony, you tap into a greater intelligence. It accelerates your growth exponentially. As you build this external team, you must also learn to access your internal team, your own inner wisdom. This is Principle 47. Inquire within. A part of you is much smarter than you are. This is your intuition, your gut feeling. Successful people have learned to trust it. They practice meditation to quiet the conscious mind and access this deeper source of knowledge. The answers you seek are already inside you. You just have to make time to listen. When Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield were looking for a title for their book, they meditated on it. On the 3rd day, the words chicken soup appeared in Jack's mind. His rational mind dismissed it, but his inner voice explained. Chicken soup is what your grandmother gave you when you were sick. People's spirits are sick. This book will be chicken soup for the soul. He got goosebumps. That's one of the ways intuition speaks to us. Finally, let's talk about the fuel for this whole journey, your relationships, and your relationship with money. Successful relationships are built on a foundation of impeccable communication. This means you must be here now. Principle 48. Truly listen to people, not just wait for your turn to talk. Be interested, not just interesting. It also means you must tell the truth faster. Principle 50. Hiding the truth takes energy and prevents you from dealing with reality. The truth will set you free. You must also speak with impeccability. Principle 51. Your words have power. They create your reality. Stop lying. Stop gossiping. Stop judging. Use your words to uplift, encourage, and affirm. When it comes to money, your success starts in your mind. You must develop a positive money consciousness. Principle 56. Most of us have limiting beliefs about money that we picked up in childhood. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are evil. You have to identify these beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. Once you have the right mindset, you must follow the timeless rule from the richest man in Babylon. Pay yourself first. Principle 58. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Before you pay any bills, set aside at least 10% of your income for savings and investments. Make it automatic. Let the 8th wonder of the world, compound interest, work its magic for you. You must also master the spending game. Principle 59. Live within your means. Get out of debt. Pay cash. Remember, too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want to impress people they don't like. And if you want to spend more, you must first make more. Principle 60. Find a need and fill it. Think outside the box. Create multiple sources of income. The key is to provide value. Money flows to value. And finally, there's a secret principle that almost all wealthy and fulfilled people practice. Give more to get more. Principle 61. This is the principle of tithing, giving away 10% of your income to the people and organizations that provide you with spiritual nourishment and do good in the world. It's a universal law. When you give, you create a vacuum that the universe rushes to fill. It keeps you in a state of gratitude and abundance, and you attract more to be grateful for. The more you give, the more you will receive. This entire journey, from taking 100% responsibility to finding a way to serve, is not something you do once. It's a lifelong practice. It starts now. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin. Take one step, then another, and another. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The principles are simple, but simple isn't necessarily easy. It requires discipline. It requires courage. It requires commitment. But if you practice them, day in and day out, they will work. They will take you from where you are to wherever you want to be. That is the promise of this book. As we close out our journey through the success principles, I find myself reflecting on just how simple and yet how profound these ideas truly are. This isn't a book of fleeting trends or complicated theories. It's a distillation of the timeless, fundamental laws of success that have worked for generations of high achievers. The most powerful lesson, the one that serves as the key to unlocking all the others, is that very first principle: take 100% responsibility. In a world that often encourages us to see ourselves as victims of circumstance, this idea is revolutionary. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone else to save you, the moment you realize that the power to change your life has been in your hands all along. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's also the most liberating truth there is. Once you truly accept it, you move from being a passenger in your own life to being the driver. What Jack Canfield has done so brilliantly is provide not just the what, but the how. He doesn't just tell you to believe in yourself. He gives you the tools, like affirmations, visualization, and the mirror exercise, to actually build that belief from the ground up. He doesn't just tell you to take action. He gives you a practical framework like the Rule of 5 to ensure that your actions are consistent and focused. This book is a masterclass in turning intangible dreams into tangible reality. It bridges the gap between mindset and mechanics. It teaches you how to cultivate the inner world of belief and vision, and then how to translate that inner world into real-world action and results. So how can you start applying these principles today, right now, without feeling overwhelmed by all 64 of them? Let me suggest 3 simple, practical actions you can take. First, for the next 24 hours, commit to practicing Principle 1. Make a conscious effort to catch every single complaint that forms in your mind or comes out of your mouth. Every time you find yourself blaming someone or something for a situation, stop and ask yourself that powerful question: how did I create this? What was my role? And what can I do differently in my response to change the outcome? Just one day of this practice will begin to shift your entire perspective. Second, pick one single important goal you have right now. It could be in school, in a personal project, or in your health. Now, apply the Rule of 5. Write down 5 small, specific actions you can take today that will move you closer to that goal. Not big, overwhelming tasks, just 5 small swings of the axe. Maybe it's sending 1 email, making 1 phone call, reading 10 pages of a relevant book, doing 10 minutes of research, and sketching out 1 idea. Do those 5 things. Tomorrow, do 5 more. This builds momentum, which is the engine of success. And third, Before you go to sleep tonight, start a victory log. Take a simple notebook and write down 5 small successes you had today. Did you get to class on time? Did you resist eating that junk food? Did you finish a chapter of a book? Did you have a good conversation with a friend? It doesn't matter how small they seem. The goal is to train your brain to focus on your wins, not your losses. This practice, over time, builds the unshakable self-confidence that is essential for taking bigger and bigger risks. The success principles isn't just about achieving more, earning more, or having more. At its core, it's about becoming more. It's about becoming the person who is capable of creating the life they truly desire. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values and your highest vision. It's a journey of personal growth that has success as its natural byproduct. That was our exploration of the Success Principles by Jack Canfield. We've touched on the major themes and stories today, but I have to be honest with you. A summary can only ever be a map. It can show you the terrain, but it can't give you the experience of the journey. The real transformation happens in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story connects with your own life, or a simple phrase ignites a new idea within you. This summary is your starting point, a way to see if this path is one you want to walk. If anything we've discussed has sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy of the book. Reading it isn't just about gaining information. It's an experience that can genuinely reshape how you see yourself and the possibilities for your life. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it's given you a new perspective, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf. Let's continue to learn and grow together.